Yo, what is up, guys? Yo, welcome to the channel. If you guys didn't already know, you know that I love tanking. If you've been watching the videos, I've covered a lot of tanking stuff. I will forever. I've been tanking in WoW off and on for years. It's my favorite thing to do. The goal of this video is to show you which tank that you might like the most. So I'm going to cover pros and cons for each one. Some of them are subjective, some of them aren't. Just kind of overview of the class. This is for people that have been wanting to tank for a while and not sure what tank to play, or they've been using a tank for a while and they want to switch it up and want something different. So I hope you guys like the video. If you do, like the video and hit that subscribe button because we got more content coming out like this all the time. We're planning on dropping some guides for tanks just in general, beginner tank guides, some in-depth guides, maybe to push the Keystone Hero, stuff like that. So anyways, a lot of content's going to be coming out here soon, so make sure you stick around and let's jump right into it. Alright, so Vengeance Demon Hunter is an incredibly fun tank that has great mobility. They use flight and leaps to close gaps between targets. They use brands and demon abilities such as Immolation Aura, Demon Spikes, and Metamorphosis to deal damage and survive. They look badass. Pros, you have a very high mobile, high AoE and burst damage class, strong and impactful cooldowns, both offensively and defensively, and very good for kiting and positioning enemies. Very easy to pick up, but has a high skill ceiling. Cons, no group damage reduction, can be squishy when learning the class, I think just because of the high skill ceiling, and not a lot of transmogs. This seems like a silly thing, but it matters. You should play them if you like being a literal demon. Their abilities feel amazing, they look amazing, they feel impactful. The amount of movement that you have for this class is addicting, and honestly, when you don't have it, you miss it so much. Honestly, just a great tank to play forever. It's very hard to get bored of this tank. They're just super fun, and it's also good to just pick up if you want to try something different. There's no other tank like them. Prot Paladin is my favorite tank. It's a very classic tank with your weapon and shield. You have a Holy Knight aesthetic that uses their holy powers to heal, do damage, and protect others. For pros, they have great damage and survivability. They can interrupt all the time. Literally, you can interrupt basically for your whole group, for a whole dungeon, raids, anything like that. Fantastic off healing for groups that basically suck at mechanics. You can make up for that. A lot of utility for your group, such as Blessing of Protection, Blessing of Sacrifice, and Lay on Hands. The cons, they're squishy when starting pulls, poor mobility, don't have a lot of that. Can be unforgiving at times too if you don't time your defensive cooldowns well. Very punishing in that aspect. You should play them if you like being the tank and the off healer of the group. Like seriously, you have tons of group utility and off healing. Like I said earlier, you can make up for groups if they're standing in stuff, making errors with mechanics, anything like that. You really can heal so much. They have great survivability and fantastic solo potential. You're literally like a holy Captain America that chucks shields and has wings. I mean, who doesn't like that? You can make up for a group that makes mistakes and struggles. I mean, just a solid tank all around. The Prot Warrior, the OG tank spec, all about using your shield, shout, and commanding presence to take damage and deal it. They're awesome brutes that use damage to reduce damage taken and inflict damage to their opponents. Straightforward and can charge and leap at foes to close those gaps between enemies. Pros, you have a fantastic toolkit for defensive and offensive cooldowns. You have a lot of mobility, crowd control, and you're just an overall badass. Your gear sets and transmogs are some of the best in the game in my opinion, and that is definitely a pro. Cons, no real self-healing. They can have issues with overusing rage and dying because of it, and can be squishy if you don't have your defensive cooldowns. You should play them if you like or want to be the classic brute tank that has great damage mitigation, can charge and leap into enemies, and has a really great aesthetic. I mean, that OG tank vibe with the sword and shield, blocking attacks, spells, anything like that, super fun. It's just an overall great tank to play, very fun, very engaging and reactive. Blood DK. Some would say the most OP tank in the game. No, most people would say the most OP tank in the game right now. They're a reactive tank that focuses on using bone and blood abilities to stay alive and deal damage. They look fantastic and focus on taking high amounts of damage and healing themselves back up to full HP. You literally, you don't even need a healer with this class right now. You can heal yourself. The pros, they have fantastic self-healing. Like I said, you can heal yourself back up to full HP. Have great damage mitigation right now. They do great damage overall. You can pull in enemies close to you using Death Grip and Gorfried's Grasp. The enemies come to you. You really don't have to go to them, which is super nice. It's a great difference between the other tanks. Cons, they have really poor mobility. You're good at healing yourself, but you can be susceptible to high amounts of burst damage and die before being able to heal. You should play them if you like the look of them. Seriously, they are honestly one of the coolest looking classes and tanks in the game by far. They have some of the coolest gear sets, and just amazing. You should play them if you like being able to solo content, basically heal yourself all the time. You enjoy the thought of using bone, blood, undead, and decay abilities. The aesthetic and the abilities, it's just so satisfying. And there's nothing like you almost getting hit, pulling a bunch of enemies, and then just healing yourself through it the whole time. Brewmaster Monk, a highly mobile tank that uses brews and their fists to do damage. They use brews also to reduce damage taken and have very fun abilities such as breathing fire, throwing kegs at enemies, and spinning around like a madman. Very reactive and very fun. Pros, they have fantastic mobility. Seriously, so much mobility. It can take huge amounts of damage at once, and it staggers, basically deals damage to you over time instead of at once. Great survivability because of that, and pretty easy to pick up and very forgiving for new players. Cons, does not have a great self-healing. Damage isn't quite as good as other tanks, and they have a much smaller health pool than all the other tanks. You should play Brewmaster Monk if you like to spin to win. No, seriously though, spinning to win for sure. They have fantastic mobility, like I said. They can move around really easily, get out of shit if they need to. You throw kegs and breathe fire at enemies. That's pretty satisfying. That's awesome. And really, they're not as punishing as all the other tanks. If you miss a cooldown or don't pop a defensive because of burst damage, you can take that. So very forgiving. Guardian Druid, a simple but fun tank. A super fun tank. They use bear form to tank and take damage, focused on mauling and swiping enemies into oblivion using rage. Very, very fun, especially if you like transforming into animals and you love bears. Pros, Guardian Druids have excellent mobility, seriously some of the best mobility in the game, and utility for your group, whether that's a Mythic Plus or Raid. You've got Stampeding Roar and Provoke. They got a great aesthetic if you like animals, like transforming, bear, cat, reindeer, cheetah, bird. They've got fast defensive cooldowns for survivability, and very beginner friendly and easy to use, and to get good with. Cons, they are easy to use. Sometimes people can see that as maybe boring. A lot of people say you just have to spam Thrash. There is more to it, especially if you're getting the higher end content, but it can get boring, especially if you like more of a challenge. Rage spinning inefficiently can sacrifice either DPS or survivability. Feels like one or the other at times, so... and another thing is you always tank in bear form, so you can't see what your gear looks like outside of that, and a lot of people view that as a downside. You should play them if you like highly mobile tanking class, like that just sounds great to you. If you could like to transform into other animals, I love it so much. It's hard for me to play my other tanks just because I like tanking as a bear so much. They're easy to pick up tank that performs decent in all content. Thank you so much for watching today's video. I hope if you're a new tank and you're just starting out, this video helped you out and you gotta pick one you really like. If you've been tanking for a while, I hope you like the video still. Let me know down in the comments below what you guys thought about it. If you have negative feedback or positive feedback or other tips for new beginning tanks, really. And go check out Wowhead. If you picked a tank that you really like, I'll leave it down the description below. But you can check out Wowhead's site about details for each tank. They go in depth about talents, conduits, Covenant, all the information you need to, and they're constantly updating it, so it's really helpful. Anyways, I hope you guys liked the video. If you did, like the video and consider hitting that subscribe button. Our goal is to hit 1,000 subscribers by the end of the year. It's gonna happen for sure. And with your help, seriously. No, but I also stream on Twitch, so feel free to go follow me there. We stream MMOs and all kinds of content. Just basically want to hang out, get to know you guys. But thank you again for watching the video, and until next time, I love you guys. Peace.